how to set up Google Classroom classes. So if this was my Gmail, up here you have your different Google apps, and I've moved them like you can move them wherever you want. I've moved Google Classroom up here right next to the top. So I also have saved, which you can do Command D to save any website, like this. You can save it into your toolbar up here at the top. So I've done that for all of my classes. All right, so here's all my classes, but I'm going to show you how to create a new one. So when you start on your dad's, you'll have this plus sign, join class or create a class. And so we're going to create a class, just accept and continue. And let's say Algebra 1. And you might say, fall 2021, because you can archive the classes later when you're done, meaning you can save them for later, and then you could change the date, or you could, whatever it is that you want to do, look back at what you assigned before in future years. And so we're creating this class, and takes a second. So now we've created it. We don't have any students. Here's the students. We don't have any classwork, and we don't have any grades. All right. So the first thing is you need to go in here to the settings and copy this invite code. Okay. If a kid clicks on that invite code, they will automatically be added to the Google Classroom. So here in GradeLink, one easy way to do it would be to go to Smart Send here at Communicate, and you would put in, this link, and you would say Google Classroom invite, okay, and you can send an invite, an email to the parents. It'll go to the parents and students. Students, students, please click this invite code with your Gmail to log in or to be enrolled into your Algebra 1 class. Okay. So once that email is sent out, the kids will click on it, and then they will be in the class. Now, what will that look like? So in my Algebra 1, here are all my students. Okay. And here are all the grades. And in this class, all these grades that are out of 100, these are all from Quizziz. And so that's why we're doing this, is they've all been graded, and these kids that are missing, they have zeros because they didn't complete it. They ran out of time and they can't make up that work. Okay. If I click here, I have my invite codes. I also have chosen in my grading to choose total points. So the kids look here, they see their grade, and even though it's not exactly what it is in GradeLink, they have their grades here. Okay. So that's setting up a Google Classroom. Here's the Google Classroom that I just set up. I'm the only teacher. Your dad can add you with an email address, or me. I could say, here's George. I could invite him to be a part of, invite him to be a teacher, or you could invite yourself if you wanted to grade stuff from your Gmail so you didn't have to log into your dad's every time. Whatever it is, you can add teachers. You could add me so I could help assign stuff. But when the kids log into their Google Classroom at home, they're going to get an assignment that looks like this. And they'll just click here, and it'll take them to a Quizziz assignment. All right? Assigning Quizziz assignments is very, very simple. So here in Quizziz, you have your library, which is all the ones that you've created and saved. You have reports, which is how students have done on their quizzes. Not that you would need to look at this, but here it is, and you can see what kids put in their scores. And you have the classes, and you can manage and see who has accepted or who's a part of the class. See this kid, Nathan, he hasn't accepted my invite, meaning all the quizzes that I assign, he won't be able to take until he accepts that invite. All right. You can import your classes from Google Classroom. So if I click this, you'll see there's that Algebra 1 Fall 2020 that I just created, and I can check that off and save, and then you'll see it pop up in my classes here. There it is, Algebra 1 Fall 2021, right? Now I don't have any kids in that class, but let's say I wanted to assign something. I could assign, let's say, linear equations. Okay. You might have graphing linear equations. This little orange super means that you would have to pay for it. So there's some things that you can't access because they're orange. That's super. If you paid for it, I think it's like $100 a year. So it's really not that expensive. Here are quizzes, which are things that I use. And then you have lessons, which is, you know, this right here is like if you wanted to help supplement, and it teaches the kids standard form, slope-intercept form, point-slope form. And so then it quizzes them and asks them questions about what they just learned, right? And it gives them questions. So you can assign something like this. Let's say I wanted to assign this. So I would assign, and this is just to supplement maybe what I taught them today in class. And I would say, you know, let's say this was section, 4.1, right? And I would say, maybe lesson review. All right, so that they can review the lesson and it just give them a little extra work. And I can choose, do I want leaderboard, play music? And so I can assign this as a lesson review. All right. Well, let's say I wanted to assign homework for the kids. So then I might say finding the slope of a line, right? So here, slope of a line, and I have all these different quizzes, so many different quizzes I can choose from. There's really a lot of quizzes that you can pick. How many questions do I want? Do I want 20 questions? Do I want 16? So I might choose this one, 20 questions. It's based on slope of line of graphs and tables and points. Okay, so this is nice. This gives them a lot of variety of different things. I like this quiz. Just briefly look through it. And then I'm going to choose assign homework. And I'm going to go here. And I'm going to choose maybe, 4.1 homework. Okay. And I'm going to choose this class, Algebra 1, Fall 2021. There's no students in it, but let's say I chose here. I could say specific students. So let's say some kids needed extra work, right? Let's say, I wanted this kid Christian and Dahlia and Eric, right? I wanted them to do extra work, right? Or I can choose all students, right? So I'm going to actually uncheck them all. And I just want to do this one Algebra 1 class. Okay, so then I choose next. I can choose when it's due, right? It'll always be pretty much the next day at whatever time it is. So it says 3:30 because it's almost 3:30 right now. So let's say you wanted it done at the beginning. You wanted it the beginning of the day, so it's due by 9 o'clock the next day. Okay. I can choose if they get how many chances they have. They can take the quiz over and over and over until they get a good score, or they can take it one time. I can allow them to see the correct answer each time they get it right or wrong, or I can turn that off so they can't see the right answer. Now, the nice thing about this is I usually turn it on so that they can see the correct answer after they get it wrong, and so that they can know that they messed up and what the correct answer was, right? And you can have all these different ways to customize what you want, shuffling the answers, shuffling the questions. Now, one thing that's really cool is I can assign this, and now it's assigned. If I go to my Google Classroom and I go to my stream, you can see I have now 4.1 lesson review. Okay, I've assigned that. And now if I reload it again, you can see I have 4.1 homework. Now again, Quizziz is going to grade that and automatically put it into my grades here, which looks like this. Right? It's automatically going to put it into my grades. Now the wonderful thing is, maybe once a week, I'll go to GradeLink, I'll go to my grade sheet, and here in GradeLink, if you go to settings, okay, I can choose the classes that I'm teaching and the Google class that is associated with it. So I have here Algebra 1 Google GradeLink class, and here I have Algebra 1 from my Google Classroom. All I did was sign in with my email, and it automatically came. Now there's a couple of special things, like do you want to be able to allow edits, meaning changing scores once you put them in? I don't really need that. I don't do that. I just upload exactly what comes, and then I click sync, and everything from my Google Classroom, including the assignments. I didn't create these assignments. These assignments came straight from the Google Classroom, straight from Quizziz. All right. But one thing that is important is in terms of Google Classroom and GradLink is if you do a Google Classroom assignment, and let's say I want it to be a test, in the instructions I have to write bracketed test, and it has to match the assignment type that I want it to be. See how tests here in Algebra 1? So here I did test, so that will not work because this is tests. So I would want to copy that, and I would want to go in here and edit, and instead of test, I would want to say, and it has to be in brackets, I would want to say tests. So now if I save it, see, if you look at the Google Classroom, at my grade sheet, if you looked at the Chapter 1 test, where is it? Chapter 1 test, see it says home, that's for homework. So it's in homework and quizzes. But now, if I sync it, because I saved that Chapter 1 test as tests, okay, now I'm syncing it, it's loading, and when it syncs, this Chapter 1 test is now not going to be 1.4%, but it's going to be the percentage of my tests category, okay? And I would want to do the same thing for all my tests, right? I would want Chapter 2, so Chapter 1, Chapter 2 test. See, I have test, and it was tests. Okay, so that's one thing that's important, and I can always help you with that if you have any issues down the road. But now, here, 50%, this is test. Okay, so I'm going to sync Chapter 2, so then it'll drop down to 25% because we have 2 tests. And that percentage will continually drop the more tests that are created. Same thing with the homework assignments because it's just the percentage of that assignment type. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Very simple. Make sure you have My Library reports, Quizziz libraries, which you're going to search, factoring, quadratics. All right, you just click here, solve by factoring, assign. I can choose the class. Let's say I wanted my pre-calc class. Boom, choose the section number. Let's say it was, 2.1. And it's automatically due tomorrow, 1 turn. Maybe I want to give them 2 turns because I just want them to practice it a bunch of times. And then I chose pre-calculus, and now I can click assign, and it'll assign it. Okay? All right, that's pretty much it. If you have any other questions, always feel free to ask me. Here, Chapter 1 test, and now I have Chapter 2. Now this is test, whereas this is homework and quizzes. Okay? This has really saved me a ton of time. I don't grade anything. One last thing before I finish is, let's say you're looking in a quiz library for factoring quadratics, right? And you wanted to print something out. You didn't want to have the kids take it at home. Well, if I click here, whoops. If I click here, print, right? I literally can just click right here, print. Now it's usually going to print it pretty big, which takes up a lot of space because it's multiple choice, and you might waste paper. But you can always change these to small, small. You can change the font to 12. Okay, do I want the answer key? Do I want checkboxes? Do I want answer options, or do I want the kids to solve it themselves? Right, all of these different options. So however you want to do it, you can shuffle the answers, you can shuffle the questions, and I can literally put print. All right, usually what I do is I go ahead and I save as a PDF named as my section. So next year I just have all the PDFs printed, and I don't even if I'm printing them out in person, I'll print the same ones out each year. Okay. The other things that they do online, I don't need to. So, I just name it, desktop, save, and I might go to my desktop, and there it is, factoring quadratics. I can open it up, and here's the nice thing is it gives you all the pages, right? And then the last page is the answer key, okay? So, that could even be, and you can even make a test. If I was going to make a test using Quizziz, I would search, let's say, quadratics, okay? I might click one and then say copy and edit. And here's one thing that's wonderful is now that I have these 20 questions, I can trash one, right? Difference of squares, right? If I don't like a question, I can always trash it. And then I can search from millions of questions. I can say graphing quadratics, and click here, and then, I like this one, axis of symmetry, so I'm going to add that one. What is the maximum or minimum value? I'm going to add that one. Vertex form, I'm going to add that one, right? So now I'm adding these questions, and they automatically pop up here. Okay, I can edit the question, I can do anything. I can reorder the question, clicking here. I can reorder them in whatever order I want. Okay, all that to say is you can create your own. Then I can simply just click here and just say like, all right, this is chapter 2 test. All right, now that I have chapter 2 test, I can publish it, right? I publish my chapter 2 test, and now I can print it, I can edit it. I could even take the picture out. I'm like, I don't really like that picture. That's a weird picture. So I can click here, trash the picture, and now I'm good. I've saved it. Chapter 2 test. Now forever in my library, I will have this chapter 2 test. You might even want to name it something so that you can know it's for pre-calculus or for algebra 2 or whatever it might be, but you have that forever. Again, I might only do that for tests, not for everything else, but hopefully this really helps and saves a lot of time. It saved me a lot of time and energy. I never grade homework anymore because this grades it for me. All right. Let me know if you have any questions.